Thank you very much, Cloncola. I'm glad to get the opportunity to talk on this very important matter, because housing is the dominant thing that we're asked about every day, Minister, and I appreciate you trying to do something about the housing situation in the country. And while I may not agree with the land agency part of it, the land development agency, it's nothing personal. It's my view vis-a-vis your view. And first of all, I too want to compliment our local authority in Kerry for what they have done in very difficult times in the provision of housing. And while we have a fairly hefty list all the time, they continue to do their best, and they have done back over the years, going back as far as I can remember, when they built rural cottages, when they brought out demountable homes. And I think of one special man that did an awful lot of work on that, and I'm not sorry to mention him, and that's John O'Donoghue from Kildare, from Knockaderry in Fann4. He was a clerk of works, but he did carry out some work, and he organised some houses, and he used local builders who employed local work tradesmen, and they did magnificent work, going back with very little. They didn't have teleporters, or they didn't have a lot of the modern equipment that's available to builders today, but nevertheless they carried out a massive housing programme back over the years. The only thing that we're short of now, Minister, is finance. And that's why the Land Development Agency, to me, I'm not happy about it. And I have fierce concerns about it, because it's removing the accountability away from honorary elected members, honorary county councillors who have done their best back over the years and who are still doing their best today in our local authority, Kerry County Council. I know that you have problems up here in Dublin in acquiring land or getting houses built. And maybe that has tempted you to go this way, and that maybe that's needed in Dublin, but it's not needed in Kerry. And I have concerns about public lands being handed over to private developers. And like Michael said, I've nothing against developers, but I believe public lands should remain in public ownership, and fine if the developers will build the social housing or affordable housing for the local authority. That's fine to use them that way, but in the way that you're saying that they could acquire public lands, and even that they could acquire private lands at agricultural prices, I'm very concerned about that. That could create a civil war in a town or a county if land was CPO'd off of private people. I'd be very worried about that. And I'm worried about the aspect of taking the accountability. It is accountability we need. We've lost accountability in so many of the sectors. Roads, they tell you when you put down a motion in Kerry County Council, they send the request on to the TII. It is a step removed. The refuse collection, fine, it's working fine in our county, but in other places, the local authorities have no role in that now. We're looking in Kerry with the refuse collection. Town councils, to see, they did great work as well in the towns, and they were abolished, and they were very necessary for local representation, and they were abolished, and I rue the day that happened. There are different schemes that you could help us with, Minister. The tenant purchase scheme is not working. People that have rented houses for 30 and 40 years, they're not allowed to purchase their house after paying rent for that amount of years because they're not working now. They became pensioners. The scheme was abolished for a number of years, and they went over the age before it came back. Any house that was built since 2015, Minister, no one is allowed to purchase it. No, normally they were allowed to purchase it after 12 months. Rural cottages are very hard to get built in our county. We can't get enough money for them. And see, that was a great scheme where a young couple provided the site on their own, most often than not on their own local family-owned land. And when they got up and running, they purchased the house and paid back the council for it. And likewise, then the council were able to go out and build more houses. And it also helped to pay for the voids. Kerry County Council are doing good enough now, but for a period they were struggling seriously because they didn't have the money to turn the voids around and to put people back into these houses. There are a lot of couples, and they would build their own house if they could get planning permission. But you see, this urban generated pressure clause is depriving many couples from building their own house. All they want is the planning, and they build the houses themselves for themselves. That's all they want. You're saying that people should consider to build in towns and villages. Minister, I say to you, we don't have the sewerage schemes. I hear the Green Party on there every day about the environment, we must protect the environment. I want to protect the environment as well, as much as anyone else, but these people don't want to talk about the sewerage schemes. Corran, Scotland, in these places that have no sewerage schemes, proud communities. Brasna, Kimere Town, a developer can't build a development. He can get planning permission, all right, but he can't start working because the sewerage scheme that's there isn't adequate. They're saying we're going to get money, but that's been said for a long time. There are other things, Minister. In relation to young couples, I have a young couple these days. They built the house so far without any loan or anything. They got planning permission, and they win so far. They have the roof on, the windows in, the doors are on, and all they need is money for the wiring and the plumbing, and they won't qualify for the 30,000 grant because they didn't get a mortgage. That's one of the conditions, that you need to have a mortgage before you qualify for the grant. And then the county council can't give them a loan because they should have a greenfield site. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. And then to think of the other man, a grand young fella that was prepared, all he wanted to borrow was 100,000 to build his house. He could do a lot of the work, and he had enough money to go so far that no bank could give him the 100,000 euros when they wouldn't give him all the cost of the house. Can you understand how ridiculous that is? So there's rules and regulations that are driving people down to the ground to get the planning and to get a small bit of help. There's levies and charges, Minister, that are in face or colour for connecting, if they can connect to the local sewer or to the water and the electricity. The charges are absolutely ridiculous. And if he really wants to help people, and I know that he'd like to help people, but what he'll have to do is to suss out the amount of VAT and the amount of tax. And like Deputy Danny Healy-Rae said there, the cost of materials has gone so high now, but on top of the cost of the materials is the cost of the VAT and the taxes. That's nailing people to the cross. And a lot of people would try to build a house for themselves, and they do their very best, but they're nailed by rules and regulations and levies and charges, and they can't get planning permission in Kerry, a lot of them that want to build one-off houses, and they gladly do it if they got a small bit of help. But I'm asking you, Minister, to get someone to look at the urban generated clause that's depriving so many people of planning permission in Kerry, people that just want to put a roof over their own heads with hardly any help required from anyone else. Thank you.